Speaker, Secretary of the Branch, C. Anirban Pal, and today's resource persons, Sri Punit, Prajapati ji, and my dear past chairman and senior professional colleagues, MC members, and my dear members, a good evening and welcome to you all today. Because we are organizing this legal SAPTAH from the Monday onwards, 23rd May. Today is the 5th day that we are continuing this one, legal SAPTAH. Now, because we are taking up this section wise. Today we have come to this appeals and revisions, because the section 107 to 121. Really, all these speakers are doing well. I am very grateful to them. And today, you all know and you are well versed about the appeals and revisions. But at the same time, it is our to revise latest case laws or subjects of this GST appeals and review. My dear members, as you are well aware about this routine mechanism, because tax laws impose obligations. Such obligations are broadly of two kinds: tax related and procedure related. The taxpayer's compliance with these obligations is verified by the tax officer by various instruments such as scrutiny, audit, anti-evasion, etc. As a result of which, sometimes there are situations of actuals or perceived non-compliance. If the difference in views persists, it results into a dispute which is then required to be resolved. Tax laws recognizes that on any given set of facts and laws, there can be different opinions or viewpoints. Hence, it is likely that the taxpayer may not agree with the educational order passed by the tax officer. It is equally possible that the department may itself not in agreement with the education order in some cases. It is for this reason that the statute provides further channels of appeals on both sides. However, since the right to appeal is a statutory right, the statute also places reasonable fetters on the exercise of that right. The time limits prescribed by the statutes for filing the appeals and the requirement of pre-deposit of certain sum of before an appeal can be heard by the competent authority are examples of such fetters on the statutory right. GST is being implemented in our country is a dual GST, that is to say every supply attracting the levy will be leviable to both central tax and state tax. So this means that if a taxpayer is aggrieved by any such transactions, he will have to approach both the authorities for exercising his right of appeal. The answer is a plain no. The Act makes provisions for a cross-empowerment between CGST and SGST or UTGST officers, so as to ensure that if a proper officer of one Act, say CGST, pass an order with respect to a transaction, will also act as a proper officer of SGST for the same transaction and issue the order whether the respect to the CGST as well as the SGST this UTGST component of the such transaction. The Act also provides that where a proper officer under one Act has passed an order, any appeal or review or revision or rectification against the said order will lie only with the proper officer of that Act only. So, also, if any order is passed by the proper officer of HGST, any appeal, review or revision or rectification will also lie with the proper officer of the SGST only. Because this today we are having very excellent resource person, say Punit Prajapati ji with us to review the entire this appeals mechanism. What is an appeal? What is the revision? What are the powers of the officers? And how much deposit is to be made before the appeals? And what are the concepts of pre-deposit? So concepts of authorized representative, appeals to the High Court, etc. And appeals before the department, before the appellate tribunal, and revision by the commissioner, and revision and appeals to the Supreme Court, etc. To discuss all these matters today, we are having a very good resource persons, CA Prajapati ji with us. So I welcome you once again, sir, today's topic. Prajapati ji. Now I request Sri Andavarpu Sridhar Garu, please introduce our speaker to the August gathering.
Good evening, dear members. It's my privilege to introduce CA Punit Prajapati ji. He is going to enlighten us on the areas of appeals and revision under section 107 to 121, read with rule number 108 to 116. CA Punit Prajapati, he worked with Dr. Nilesh Suchak for 7 years, and he is currently working as founder partner of Punit Prajapati and for chartered accountants, which has 5 chartered accountants at present. CA Punit Prajapati is participating in the field of indirect taxes since 2005. He has gained wide experience in advisory, consultation, planning, representation, and litigation in indirect taxes. He has also co-authored books in GST. He is also a regular speaker on indirect taxes at various forums, including chartered accountants forums, corporate forums, trade and industry bodies, and other government offices. He has held various positions in indirect taxes related committees of the various organizations, including Gujarat Chamber of Commerce and Industry and Gujarat Chamber of Chartered Accountants Association, Ahmedabad branch of WIRC of ICA. He has also participated on news channels for discussion on GST and other topics. He has also written various articles which are published in reputed journals, and his article also won the Best Article Award by Ahmedabad Chartered Accountants Journal. He has also won trophy for Best Led Study Circle meeting from the Chartered Accountants Association. With these few words, I introduce the speaker to the August Gallery. Over to the speakers.
So welcome, sir, Prajapati ji. The floor is yours. Now you can take up the section, sir.
Thank you, Vasudev Murthy sir, Sridhar ji, Sri Murli, and all the dignitaries who are present today. My topic is GST appeal, and today we are at a verge of completing the 5 years of a GST. So honeymoon period is over, and now litigation will start. Everyone here who is married knows that for 3-4 years of marriage,
Honeymoon is over.
much fights, and after 4-5 years, everything starts, and things get settled only after 20 years, 15 years. So the next decade is of litigation, and today it is the perfect time when we need to understand the provisions of appeal and all the related subjects near to litigation. What I will do is, I will divide this entire discussion in 2 parts. First, I will discuss the basic provision of indirect taxes related to appeal. And thereafter, I will try to share my practical views on drafting of an appeal and whatever and dealing of an appeal. I will try to share my views or my experience during last decades in indirect tax litigations. So I will cover this, I will take this session practically in a two-part. First, we will go through that provisions, and then we will move to my experience or practical experience, which one should take care for filing an appeal or dealing with an appeals. So let me start with some basic fundamental, and then I will move to the provisions. First of all, everybody should understand that appeal is not your inherent right. It is not your fundamental right. It is the right given by you by a statute. So if statute don't give you the right, your right to appeal is not coming automatically. It also means that if a law is giving you a right to an appeal, law can also restrict your right to an appeal. It can also restrict the time limit within which appeal should be filed, or law can put any reasonable restrictions on filing of an appeal. So we should understand this, because this principle is going to help us till the end of our discussion. Another outcome of this is that if appeal is not filed against a particular order, please understand that that order will be final, meaning thereby you will have to comply with that particular order, and you cannot say later on that, no sir, that order is a non-speaking and that is a grossly wrong order, and it is devoid of any merit or devoid of any fact. No, you cannot do it, because you did not file an appeal against that particular order. So unless an order is appealed against, that order is a final, and you will be binding by that order. Suppose an officer issue an order saying that ₹1 crore GST is payable by me, and I don't challenge that order within the particular time, and that order is clearly in violation of the law. I have never earned even 1 crore rupees. So forget about the GST of GST even on 1 crore. Now the department says you have earned 10 crore and you have to pay that 1 crore of a GST. When I am a poor guy, I don't have earned a single rupees. But as the order said, order is issued and it is not challenged. That order is confirmed, and I cannot say later on that no, that order is grossly wrong and I will not follow that order, only because of the fact that I did not challenge that particular order during the time given by the law. So this is how it works. Being a chartered accountants, many of you may have an exposure for filing appeals, maybe at an income tax, or maybe at other law, or maybe in a GST itself, or any other law, in indirect tax law, maybe service tax and VAT, or maybe excise or custom, whatever. Everybody in this hall will agree that whatever the representation has been done at a first level, or how that case has been handled at the first level, will dominate that entire case till an end, or maybe up to the Supreme Court. Appeal and everything is based on the papers. So whatever you have put on the paper at a first level of the litigation, or a first level of an adjudication or an assessment, will be dominant or will be helpful or may go against us till the Supreme Court. So what I want to say is, if you are dealing it for the first time, or if you are dealing with any litigation at the first stage, even before an appeal, you should take care that all the required facts are brought to the notice or put on paper. And all the law or all the arguments are properly taken care at a time of a first stage itself. If you forget it at a first stage, it will be very difficult for the person who is handling an appeal at a later stage to bring such a facts and law into the case. If you have made some errors or mistakes at a first level, it will also be very difficult for the person who is dealing with an appeal to reverse that or to take care of such an error at a later stage. So I highly advise that if you are every case at a first stage of a litigation or an assessment or an adjudication must be taken care properly, and all the facts, all the arguments, whether an officer is agreeing or to that or not, and whether you believe that will be helpful or not, you should at least put that facts and arguments on paper. What I have seen mostly with the chartered accountants are that chartered accountants are well aware about the direct tax law, income tax, and appeals and litigation related provisions of a direct tax. But we don't have the much exposure to the litigation of indirect tax. So first of all, we need to understand what will be the difference. If you have not dealt with income tax related appeals or litigation, it's good, because whatever I will say, you will accept. But if you have already an exposure of a filing of an appeal in an income tax, some facts about the GST appeals may surprise you. Now let me start with that. In indirect tax, what happens is you have to file an appeal within a particular time. So you're in that appeal, mostly what you have to submit is the grounds of an appeal in very brief manner. Once the appeal has been filed, that appeal might be of 4 or 5 pages at the most. Maybe it may be of a higher page, but generally it is a 4 or 5 pages, mainly containing the grounds of an appeal. Once the appeal has been filed in a direct tax or income tax, thereafter personal hearing will be granted, and at the time of the personal hearing, you will submit each and every document and evidences for your argument. So this is how an appeal at a direct tax is being dealt with. But please understand, it is not so in case of an indirect tax, service tax, excise, and now in a GST. How? Under an indirect tax, your appeal should have not only the grounds with clarity, but also each and every fact of the case is required to be mentioned in an appeal itself. Not only that, each and every evidence or supporting documents which you want to rely upon must also be attached with an appeal. So your GST appeal will be a bulky appeal. At a time of a filing of an appeal within a 30 days, 90 days, 60 days, whatever it is, you have to prepare all these documents. You have to write down all the facts. You also have to write down all your grounds. You have to collect all the documents. You have to collect all the evidence. You have to prepare a paper book, and then you have to submit it. So you can now understand that in GST, being a tax practice, being a chartered accountant or a tax practitioner, we have to work more at a time of filing an appeal if it is a GST, and if it is in direct tax, you have to work more at a time of a personal hearing. In GST, as you have filed entire paper book along with all evidences and the grounds and facts at a time of a filing of appeal itself, at a personal hearing level, your case or reading or your time of involvement will be much lesser compared to direct tax at a stage of a personal hearing. So in direct tax, less work at a time of filing an appeal, more work at a time of personal hearing. In GST, more work at a time of a filing an appeal and less work at a time of a personal hearing. Similarly, in income tax, you should have a good argumentative quality and convenience quality, because your entire case is mainly depending on the person who is arguing the case at a time of a personal hearing. But in case of a GST, you should have a more drafting skill, because you have to put everything on a paper. So this is the basic fundamental difference between the direct tax and GST appeals. Another aspect of such a difference is that when you will be arguing the GST appeal at a personal hearing level, you must understand that as you have filed all the documents and evidences and all the grounds and facts at a time of an appeal, the person who is hearing an appeal, maybe a commissioner appeal or a judge at a tribunal or a court, is already having an access to all such a documents and may have gone through all the facts and your grounds and evidence and documents when he starts hearing an appeal. That is going to make a much difference at the time of an hearing, because at the time of an hearing, a judge or a commissioner appeal is aware about each and every fact and each and every grounds of appeal. So he may come prepared with the counter arguments and counter evidences. So now, after listening for me on this subject, you might have understood that if you are filing in the GST appeal, you should charge majority of your fees at the time of a drafting itself. And if you are filing in a direct tax appeal, you should charge majority of your fees at the time of a personal hearing level. So this is how it is going to play a major role. Another important aspect is in indirect tax, please understand that as each and every document has been submitted at a time of filing an appeal itself, personal hearing will not take much time. Generally, it concluded within 5 to 15 minutes at a commissioner appeal level and maybe 10 to 1 hour at a tribunal level, because each and every fact is already on record and both the parties, or rather all three parties, judge, person who has filed an appeal and person against whom that appeal has been filed, all three parties are know what is the fact and what is an argument. So arguments at a personal hearing gets completed within a very few time. So generally in direct tax, in GST and in indirect tax, only single chance of a representation or a personal hearing has been made available. So when you are going for a PH, you should be well prepared, because it's not like that they will continue with the adjournment and giving you the more time to produce than another evidences. So now let me move through some other principles or fundamentals of filing an appeal or a litigation. There is one concept called balance of convenience. What is the balance of convenience? Suppose a criminal case is going on and some charge is there against some person, and the charge is of, say, murder. So if judge thinks that evidences are not enough and there is even a 1 or 10% chances that this person has not committed this crime, so in that case, judge will not take a call and will not held that particular person guilty because it is a criminal offense. But in taxation, decisions are being made based on the balance of convenience. So you don't have to get the judge absolutely clear. Even if you are able to prove your case that even 60% or 75% chances are that this exemption is available, that will be enough for you, because in that case, the balance of convenience is in favor of an assessee. So in criminal cases, decisions are being taken based on an absolute evidences, but in case of a taxation, decisions are being taken based on balance of convenience. So this will make your job a little bit easy. You don't have to prove it beyond doubt, but even if you are able to prove it substantially that you are this case is in your favor, so in that case the judge will understand that balance of convenience is in your favor and you can win the case. Next, another concept I want to discuss is there is no res judicata in taxation. For other law, if once the court has decided that this issue should be tackled like this, or in this dispute, their judgment is like that. In that case, in other laws, another party cannot go through for an appeal based on the same grounds. But fortunately, in taxation, there is no res judicata. So even if there is a judgment of an higher court on the same ground for some another person's case, then also you can go to the court or file an appeal on the same ground in GST or any taxation law. I don't want to go to the judicial discipline and principle of natural justice right now. If the time will permit, I will get into the details of all these things too. In GST, now let me move to the basic provisions of the GST related to appeals. In GST, commissioner appeal, first stage. Another stage is a tribunal. Then there is an appeal to an high court, appeal to the Supreme Courts, and there is another provision of a revision. Let me start with the last one. Generally, the revision related provision will not be applicable if appeal related provision are possible. So if any order is passed and if appeal can be done before that against that particular order, revision related provision will not be applicable into the GST. That is a clear-cut provision stated in the law. So, and generally we will see that each and every order is appealable. So mostly in GST, revision related provisions will have a very limited role to play. And I don't want to discuss it in this session right now. Now let me go through the commissioner appeal. Commissioner appeal is not a court, but it is definitely a quasi-judicial authority. It cannot be a judicial authority, but it is definitely a quasi-judicial authority, meaning thereby when he has to take the call, it is not necessary that he should be a pro-revenue, but if any fact or law is in favor of an assessee, commissioner appeal is bound to give the benefit to the assessee. So, Commissioner Appeal, being a quasi-judicial authority, has to take the call very independently and not as an officer of the department. Practically in GST law, it is written that a person who is appointed as a Commissioner Appeal will not be given an administrative related task or other task of assessment and everything in GST, so that its independence is not disturbed. I will go now tribunal. Tribunal is a final fact-finding authority. So if your case is limited to the facts, this is the end of your story. And if your case is for law, definitely you can travel further for an High Court and Supreme Court also. Tribunals are generally failed in India. However, SAPTAH is really one successful tribunal in Indian litigation or judiciary that has performed really well, and the judgments by the SAPTAH are being admired or are being taken care by or are being seen with respect by higher courts. Maybe it is so at least till today, generally. However, the same structure is not going to be adopted in the GST tribunal. So I am little bit worried about whether that same success or professionally run or independently run tribunal will be there in GST or not. So let's see what will happen in future. High courts. If you have a question of law, definitely you can go to the High Court. Please understand that under Article 226 of Constitution of India, High Court has a parallel jurisdiction, meaning thereby, even if you have an appeal-related provision in the law, High Court has a parallel jurisdiction. You can directly go to a High Court by bypassing the Commissioner Appeal and Tribunal, even a so cause notice or an adjudication. But generally, if there is an alternate remedy available, High Court don't exercise such a parallel jurisdiction. But if some basic fundamentals are violated, like principle of natural justice are violated, in that case, High Court definitely entertains an appeal directly or a writ application directly, ignoring the fact that appellant has already alternate remedy. Supreme Court. In case of a Supreme Court, an order passed against by the High Court, you can definitely move to the Supreme Court if there is a substantial question of law. And we will also see in what other cases you can move to the Supreme Court. Settlement Commission. Please understand that in GST there is no concept of Settlement Commission. So Settlement Commission is done away in GST. Now, let us start with the section 107, which gives the power to an assessee to file an appeal. Section 107 says that any person aggrieved by any decision or order passed under this Act or State GST Act or UT GST Act by an adjudicating authority may appeal to such an appellate authority as may be prescribed within 3 months from the date on which the said decision or order is communicated to such a person. So generally for an appellant or an assessee, 3 months are given, but for the department, double the time, 6 months are given. So if any order is passed and you are aggrieved by that, you have 3 months. And if department don't agrees with his own order, they have a time limit of 6 months. In addition to that, there is one more month given at a discretion of an appellate authority. If there is a reasonable cause for delay in filing an appeal, Commissioner Appeal can condone that delay if the delay is up to the 1 month. Now let me go further and see. Law says that any person aggrieved by any decision or order, so who can file an appeal? Any person who is aggrieved by any order can file an appeal. So not only the taxpayer, but any person who is aggrieved by the order can file an appeal. Now let me give you one example. Suppose there is some violation of an e-way bill related provision. Truck has been checked by the officer, found some discrepancies, tax and penalty has been paid so that the movement can be continued or goods can be released, and that order has been passed against the supplier because that entire matter has been handled by the supplier. So supplier says that, okay, I have paid the tax or penalty and I am not much worried about that. So the order has been passed against the supplier. Now, can you tell me a buyer can file an appeal against that order or not? Any views? Anyone? Anyone from this?
Yes, he can go, sir. Buyer also can go.
Because the section 107 gives the power not only to the taxpayer, but any person who is aggrieved by the law. A buyer under section 16 or 17, it is said that if a tax has been paid due to the suppression, in that case, input tax credit is not available to the buyer. So in that case, a buyer will not be able to take the input tax credit of an invoice for which an e-way bill related violation has been found, an order has been passed. So as the right to avail an input tax credit of a buyer has been affected, he can also be an aggrieved person, and all the order has not been passed in his own case, but being an aggrieved person, he can go to the department and can file an appeal against an order which is passed against the supplier. Now the law further says that appeal under section 107 can be filed against any decision. The word is written is any decision and not like an order issued under section 74 or 73 or any particular order. So generally each and every order passed under the GST law can be appealed against unless it is specifically prohibited under section 120 or 21 of the GST Act. So generally appeal can be filed against any order, and anyone who is aggrieved by such an order means who is an affected party can go to the Commissioner Appeal. When I say aggrieved party means his right must be get affected and there should be some locus standi to that particular case. Now let me go further. an order passed by an adjudicating authority may be appealed against. So, any order passed by the department which is not, or any officer which is not in capacity of an adjudicating authority, but maybe as an administrative officer. For example, some officer is transferred from one place to another place. So you cannot go to Commissioner Appeal and say that, no sir, look, here Punit said that you can file an appeal against any decision or an order. No, that order must be passed by an adjudicating authority and not by an administrative authority, or the same person can pass an order as an adjudicating authority, or same person can pass an order as an adjudicating or as an administrative authority. So only adjudicating related orders can be appealed against. Now your time limit will be started from the date of communication of an order. Law says from the date of communication. So what is the date of communication? Under the GST law, if order has been made available online in your GST portal, it is deemed that such an order is communicated to you. So generally in GST, everything is being taken care by consultants and chartered accountants. Almost none of the taxpayer even open the GST network. They don't have even a login ID or a password. And even if they have and they are accessing, they might not be aware at what place in GST network such an order can be seen. So it will be very difficult for the consultant and the chartered accountants who are regularly handling the work of their client to keep seeing whether such a notices or orders are issued or not. It will be happening that some order has been already issued and none of the person, neither accountant of a client or chartered accountant of a client has seen such an order or are aware about an order which is already made available online, and 3 months or 1 month is already gone. In that case, it will be very difficult for a person to file an appeal against such an order. Now Rule 108. This was a section 107, and now I am dealing is the not section 107 but 108, but Rule 108. According to the Rule 108, appeal is to be filed before the Commissioner Appeal in the GST APL 1. As I already said, the rule itself says all that APL 01 should be filed along with all the relevant documents. So whatever the documents or evidences you want to rely upon, that should be filed along with an APL 01 itself. Law says that your appeal should be filed electronically or otherwise as may be notified. So unless it is notified, you cannot file an appeal manually. But fortunately, today you can file the appeal manually if that order has been issued manually. In case of an e-way bill related provisions or violations, only manual orders are being issued first. So in that case, you can file a manual appeal also. So generally speaking, if an order has been filed online, appeal will be online. If the order has been filed order has been issued manually, appeal will be manually. Immediately on filing of an APL 01, a provisional acknowledgement will be given to you by the system. A certified copy of the decision or of an order must be given to the Commissioner Appeal physically within the 7 days of filing an appeal. If you will give such a certified copy within 7 days of filing an appeal, the day on which appeal has been submitted online will be considered as a date of filing of an appeal. But if unfortunately you don't file that particular physical copy within 7 days of filing an appeal online to the Commissioner Appeal, in that case, the date of giving such a copy to the Commissioner Appeal will be date of filing an appeal. So it is very important that you file such an appeal, file such a physical copy of an order within the 7 days before the Commissioner Appeal. Final acknowledgement will be given in Appeal 02. And I already discussed this. Now, what is the jurisdiction of a Commissioner Appeal before state or center? So if your jurisdiction is with the center, your appeal will go to the center, and Center Commissioner Appeal, CGST Commissioner Appeal will take care of such an appeal. And if your registration is with the state, in that case, even if entire demand is of an IGST or CGST, that entire appeal will go to the State Commissioner Appeal. So it depends on under whose jurisdiction your GST number is allotted. One exception is in related to e-way bill related appeals. Please understand that if your release order or goods has been intervened by the State Department, your appeal will lie before the State Department even if your jurisdiction is with the center, and vice versa. If your truck was interrupted by a center, in that case your appeal will be before the Central Commissioner Appeal even if your jurisdiction is with the state. Now, please understand that e-way bill related provisions and controls are totally left upon the states by the center. Center has very categorically said that we don't want to control e-way bill related provisions or controls, and we give the free hand to the state to decide such a limitations and controls. So it may happen that in one state the limit for e-way bill is a 50,000, in another state the limit is a 1 lakh rupees. Under those circumstances, e-way bill related cases are mostly being done by the state jurisdictional officers only. So it may happen that suppose my goods are left from Gujarat, it has gone through the Maharashtra, then the Madhya Pradesh, and then to another Andhra Pradesh. This particular movement of goods can be interrupted by any officer of a Gujarat state or a Maharashtra state or a Madhya Pradesh state or Andhra Pradesh. Any officer can interrupt the transportation and check for the e-way bill related provision. So now suppose I am selling the goods from Gujarat, you are purchasing the goods at Andhra Pradesh, I am sending the goods to Andhra Pradesh, and my goods or e-way bill related violation has been found by Maharashtra State GST Department. So Maharashtra GST Department will collect the money, penalty and everything, and will pass an order. So I will have to go to the Maharashtra GST Department for filing an appeal. So this will be, although I have nothing to do with the Maharashtra, neither my buyer has nothing to do with an Maharashtra, still such an appeal will go to the Maharashtra State Department because an order has been passed by the Maharashtra State officers. So mostly this is the practice being followed by the various states across the country. As I said, as this has been left over for the states by the center, different states are practicing different procedures for e-way bill related appeals. your appeal will not be heard or will not be filed unless there is a pre-deposit of 10% at a time of a commissioner appeal. So, if you want to file an appeal before any order, you have to pay GST in full if you have agreed to that particular demand. So suppose an order has been passed for confirming the demand of 1 crore and you say that 40 lakh you agree, and for 60 lakhs you are impugning or you are not agreeing to that particular demand for 60 lakh. So law says that first of all you have to pay 40 lakhs, then 10% of a remaining amount means 10% of a 60 lakhs, 6 lakh rupees. So practically, if you file a 46 lakh rupees, unless you pay a 46 lakh rupees, you cannot file an appeal. So let me revise it. Full whatever is agreed and a 10% of a remaining amount is to be paid as a pre-deposit before you file an appeal before the commissioner appeal. Definitely, to avoid a high pitch assessment, maximum cap of a 25 crore has been put. So if that 10% is greater than a 25 CR, you don't have to worry about. You can pay only 25 crore and you can go to an appeal. One exception, if an appeal is related to an e-way bill related violation, in that case, if you have not paid the penalty, which is a 200% now, in that case, the law says that pre-deposit will be 25% of the penalty. So 200% is the penalty, 200% of a tax. So 200% is the penalty under section 129 and 25% thereof. So practically 50% of a tax will come. So unless that 50% of tax has been paid, you cannot go for a appeal before the commissioner appeal in case of an e-way bill related violation. Another important thing is, once you pay the pre-deposit as provided under section 107 subsection 6, the balance amount shall be deemed to be stayed. Means once you have paid the pre-deposit, no officer can come to you and start the recovery proceeding for the balance amount. So suppose 100 crore rupees is demand confirmed and entire amount you are disputing. In that case, if you have paid 10 lakh rupees, no recovery of a 90 lakh rupees can be initiated unless that your appeal has been confirmed at a later stage. Another issue which is coming up over here is, can you pay the GST pre-deposit from your electronic credit ledger? Unfortunately, while drafting the law, this aspect has been missed and the provision of the law do not provide for such a pre-deposit from electronic credit ledger. Fortunately, GST network allows usage of an electronic credit ledger for payment of a pre-deposit. Fortunately, but unfortunately, by Orissa High Court has read the law, and in case of a Jyoti construction, and recently they have held that electronic credit ledger cannot be used for making the pre-deposit of a 10%. So this is how this one issue is being pop up. Definitely, government don't have any intention to restrict the use of electronic credit ledger for making the pre-deposit, but unfortunately, this is an error in the law, and some officer has used this for undue litigation, and the matter has been decided finally against the assessee. So additional ground, definitely you can take that additional ground, but commissioner appeal but only if Commissioner Appeal allows you. And Commissioner Appeal should be satisfied that earlier you were not able to produce such an, you were not able to take such a grounds, and later on it came to your knowledge, or missing of such a ground was not unreasonable at a time earlier than Commissioner Appeal, or at a time when appeal was filed. So definitely Commissioner Appeal can allow you to take the additional grounds also. Please understand that if your ground is a legal ground, you can take the ground at any time, even if you have not taken such a ground earlier during the so cause notice or adjudication, or even at a time of filing this appeal. So if you have a legal ground, you can take it at any time, even at a time of a personal hearing. You can take it even if that ground was not taken in your paper book or an appeal memorandum. Once the appeal has been filed and a hearing has been done, in that case, Commissioner Appeal has to issue an order. He has to take the decision and issue an order. Please pardon me. Now, what a Commissioner Appeal can do? He can confirm the demand, he can modify the demand, or he can annul the demand. Means he can say that an entire order is quashed, no demand. All three things can be done by the Commissioner Appeal. However, unfortunately, GST law says that Commissioner Appeal cannot remand the case back to the original adjudicating authority. Now, you might have felt that, particularly in case of a state officer, this litigation mechanism is very new for them, and it is not borrowed from the VAT related provision, but current litigation provisions are borrowed from the central excise and service tax, including so cause notice, adjudication, appeals, tribunal, and everything. What happens is, they are not even aware that order should be passed. An order should be a very clear order, must be a speaking order. Each and every argument taken by the officer, so by the assessee, must be taken care of and must be discussed therein. But the officers, particularly in the case of state, are not much aware about of such a practice, and they passes the non-speaking order. Now, the Commissioner Appeal related provision says that Commissioner Appeal don't have a power to remand this case back to the adjudicating authority. And our adjudicating authority has already passed an order which is a non-speaking order. So practically, you will have to produce each and every document related to assessment or your case before the Commissioner Appeal again, and you have to prove, or he has to verify each and everything again to come to the conclusion. Earlier it was not so in case of service tax and excise, because in case of service tax and excise, Gujarat High Court has categorically said that in case of an associated hotels, that Commissioner Appeal has an inherent power to remand the case. So if order is non-speaking, or a very wrong order has been passed, Commissioner Appeal was not looking into the facts and merits, but was simply remanding this matter back to the adjudicating authority, and who is a jurisdictional officer and who has an expertise in checking all these things. But Commissioner Appeal don't have expertise in checking all these things, and he is good at a law, but may not be good at verification and everything, and may not have even a staff to verify each and everything again at an appeal stage. So this is going to be a crucial particularly for Commissioner Appeals in a GST. So Now, let me go further. Order announcing any fees or penalty may be passed by the Commissioner Appeal only after reasonable opportunity of showing the cause against that particular fees or penalty is given to the another party. Now let me clarify this, or let me discuss it with an example. Suppose so-cause notice of 1 crore has been issued. 15 lakh has been dropped by the adjudicating authority. 85 lakh has been confirmed by the adjudicating authority. Equal amount of a penalty has been imposed by the adjudicating authority. Matter went to the Commissioner Appeal. Commissioner Appeal says that you look, assessee, although you have come to me seeking the relief, but I understand, but I feel that not only 85 lakhs, but you are required to pay 90 lakhs. So here the question is, can Commissioner Appeal do it? The answer is yes, they can do it, but practically no. How? The law says that if such a tax has not been, Commissioner Appeal want to increase it, the tax, first of all, a so-cause notice must be given to the assessee, meaning thereby section 73, section 74 will again come to a picture. Another so-cause notice will be issued, and that notice will be adjudicated by the jurisdictional officer and not by the Commissioner Appeal. So merely on filing of your appeal, Commissioner Appeal will not be able to enhance your liability, even if the law says that he can modify the order. So you don't have to worry about that in GST. Another important thing is section 107 subsection 12 clearly says that each and every order passed by the appeal, Commissioner Appeal, must state points for determination, meaning thereby, points for determination, what is the decision taken by him and what is the reason for such a decision. So every order must contain points or an issues on which Commissioner Appeal has to take the call or has taken the call. Secondly, what is his decision must be clearly stated in the order. And not only that, that particular order must be a speaking order, meaning thereby it is not enough for the Commissioner Appeal to write down his decision, but he has to also discuss how he has come to the conclusion of the final order. So reason for such a decision are also required to be mentioned therein, and now it is written in the law itself. Appeal to Commissioner Appeals, as I already said, there is a different practice is being followed by the Commissioner Appeal at a center and Commissioner Appeals at a state. In GST, government says it is a one nation, one tax, but practically it is a 29 state, 29 tax. And in addition to that, center is in a bonus. So center follows the different practice, state follows the different practice. If your appeal is with the center, no worry, it can be against the joint commissioner if order has been passed by the officer who is below the rank of a joint commissioner, and otherwise all the order, if the order has been passed by the joint commissioner or any officer below the rank of a commissioner, appeal will be filed before the Commissioner Appeals. I do not know much about an Andhra Pradesh, but in Gujarat, we have 3 different commissioner, deputy commissioner, joint commissioner, and additional commissioner. So if order is passed by the state tax officer, or appeal will be before the deputy commissioner. If amount is higher, an order has been passed by the deputy commissioner. In that case, appeal will go to the joint commissioner. And if order has been passed up to by the joint commissioner, your appeal will be go to the additional commissioner. Please understand that it is not like that. An order passed by the deputy commissioner appeal will not go before the joint commissioner appeal. What I am saying is, if order has been passed by assistant commissioner, appeal will be before the deputy commissioner. If order has been passed by the deputy commissioner of your jurisdictional office, your appeal will be before the joint commissioner. And if your order has been passed by the joint commissioner of your jurisdictional office, your appeal may be before the additional commissioner. So there is a different practice at a different states and at a center also. So I do not know much about that Andhra Pradesh. If anybody is well aware about that, please enlighten us.
Members, please, sir. Anybody can. Sharam garu.
No worries, sir. Let them sleep.
Andhra Pradesh only commissioner appeals, only one state.
Okay, state. Okay. In Gujarat, we have.
There are no such state. There are no type of different appellate authorities.
Okay.
Only one commissioner appeals.
Oh, okay, sir. Two different state, two different tax. No one nation, one tax.
This is for your convenience.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. In GST, what will happen? Adjudicating authority, mostly a deputy or an additional commissioner or a joint commissioner, may have passed an order, maybe in favor of you. Law says that a commissioner will review all the orders, and if they think fit, department will go into an appeal against that order. In that case, commissioner will not directly file an appeal, but commissioner will direct the adjudicating authority himself to file an appeal against his own order. So it is some strange kind of things if you are not well aware about service tax and excise related provision. In service tax and excise also similar provisions were there. So what I have felt is sometimes client surprises. Sir, this very officer has passed an order. Now he himself is going into an appeal against his own order. So I have to explain him. Look, sir, he has been directed by his boss to file an appeal against his own order. So it is very strange, but it is so in the GST also. Further, as I have discussed, commissioner appeal can delay the condonation up to the 1 month. General time limit is a 3 month. If you cannot file an appeal within 3 months, you can still file an appeal within 30 days with the reason for a delay. And if commissioner appeal satisfies that there was a reasonable cause for the delay, he can condone the delay and accept an appeal, and thereafter he will heard an appeal on merit. Now, what if the time limit of this 1 month is also expired? In that case, please understand that your right to appeal is already expired and you have not exercised your appeal. So no one will come to help to you. In such a cases, even Supreme Court has held that once such a time limit has been expired, even the High Court and Supreme Court should not or shall not exercise his parallel jurisdiction and shall entertain such an appeal or cannot direct a commissioner appeal to condone the delay beyond the 4 months and accept the appeal. So in such a cases, your case will be over at that stage on itself. And as I have already discussed, if it will be such an order will be final and you have to obey that order, irrespective of fact that whether such an order was correct or not. So keeping such a provision in the mind, it is highly advisable that you should file an appeal well within the time. And if such an appeal has not been filed, please understand that your right to go into an appeal against such an order will be expired and you will left with no option but to pay whatever the blunder and bluffs written in an order. One important Gujarat High Court judgment I want to discuss over here is, according to the GST law, order each and almost all the order passed under the GST must be communicated to the assessee, and that communication must be online. And appeal is also online legally. But due to the lack of a GST network facility, officers are passing these orders manually. However, such orders are to be uploaded in the GST network and must be communicated to the assessee online only. So in one case, Gujarat High Court has held that your time limit of 3 months will start only once such an order has been communicated to you online, or practically speaking, such orders are uploaded by the officers online. So even if such an orders has been passed in 1718 or in 1819, and still such orders are not uploaded by the officers online, you can go to the court and argue that such orders are not yet communicated to me according to the law, and hence my time limit is not yet started, and there is no question of condonation of delay or expiry of 4 months, maximum 4 months by the commissioner appeal. Another important thing is, particularly I have seen it with the state officer, what they does it, because they are still in the VAT related provisions mindset, they pass an order and immediately they start the recovery. Even if the time limit to file an appeal is not expired. I am not much aware about that south states like Andhra or Madras or whatever that state at the south, which are really good at an indirect tax. But particularly in Gujarat or western states like Gujarat, Maharashtra and Rajasthan, these people immediately start recovery once an order has been passed. Now let me go through some provisions again. The law says that where the appellant has paid an amount under subsection 6 means a pre-deposit, recovery proceeding of the balance amount shall be deemed to be stayed. It doesn't say that the recovery will be stayed on filing of appeal, but it says that merely if you have paid the pre-deposit, the balance of a recovery will be stayed. So suppose the order has been passed on the 1st April, on 2nd April itself, you made the pre-deposit, even if you have 3 months to file an appeal, and you will file an appeal on 30th June. So the question is, can department recover this tax between the 2nd April and 30th June? The answer is no, because section 107 subsection 7 says that where an appellant has paid that amount under subsection 6 means a pre-deposit, a recovery proceeding for the balance amount shall be deemed to be stayed. So if you have such a situation, the law is clearly in favor of you. The department will not be able to recover such an amount, and if they have already recovered, you can definitely go to a high court, and high court, as this is the fit case for a violation of a basic provisions of the law, high court will entertain your writ application and will give you the refund. Now let me move to the tribunal related provisions. In GST, there will be practically 4 different tribunals, or rather 2 different tribunals. If a question or issue of your appeal involves the place of supply related provisions, in that case, appeal will be filed before the national bench or a regional bench. What is the national bench? National bench will be at Delhi, and regional bench maybe at major cities like Bombay, Madras, or Delhi, Bangalore, Ahmedabad, etc. So national bench and regional benches, like we have assessed today. If a place of supply related issue is involved, you have to file your appeal before the national bench or regional bench as applicable to you. For all other issues, the matter will go to the state bench and area bench. What is the state bench? State bench means a main bench at one state. So for state of an Andhra Pradesh, it has been decided that state bench will be at a Vijayawada. And another bench is at, I think at Visakhapatnam and some other state, other city also. Can anyone help? Okay, so one area bench is there for Visakhapatnam also, Vizag. So if for other issues, there will be 2 benches, or rather one another tribunal, that matter will go to the state bench or an area bench, and for a place of supply, national bench or a regional bench, is the case may be. Now, what will be the composition of a tribunal? In a national bench, there will be the president, there will be the member technical from center, and a member technical from a state. So 3 different members will sit and will decide the matter together, not 2 like today. 1 from center, 1 from state, and 1 a president who shall be the judicial member. In case of a regional member, there will be 1 judicial member, 1 technical member from center, meaning thereby a commissioner of a center, and 1 technical member from state, means a commissioner or an additional commissioner from a state. These 3 judges or a bench will sit together and will decide the matter. In state case also, president, 1 from center, 1 from state, and in area bench also 1 judicial member and 1 technical member from center, 1 technical member. Yes, any query?
Members, any clarification you want, you can ask, sir. Members, please.
Okay. So this is the constitution of tribunal which is proposed as on today. Now you can see that member technical from center is also a government officer. Member technical from state is also a government officer. And as we have seen in India, government officers are trained to be a pro-revenue. So 2 out of 3 are government officers themselves, and judicial member is in a minority. So in such a case, the opinion of a judicial member will not be much of importance. And as we understand that in every bench, decision has to be taken on majority. In that case, if both the officers who are, both the judges who has a background of a government, background as a government officer, they maybe think like a government officer and maybe the pro-revenue, and that's why the justice may get suffered at a tribunal. So this is how it is proposed today. Due to these reasons, another bench is at a Tirupati. For Andhra Pradesh, one area branch is for Visakhapatnam and another bench is for at a Tirupati. And state bench will be at a Vijayawada. Fundamentally, GST tribunal will be formed under the CGST Act and state will adopt that particular tribunal. It is not that a state will enact their own tribunal, but practically all the tribunals will be formed under the CGST Act and state will adopt it. We discussed that 10% of a pre-deposit is required to be paid at a commissioner appeal. But if you are going further and matter is now at a tribunal level and coming from the commissioner appeal level, in that case, another 20% as a pre-deposit is required to be paid. Definitely, if you win the case and pre-deposit has been refunded to you, interest up to the 6% will be given to you from the date of payment till the date of refund. So if this proceeding takes 5 years, 6 years, you should not worry about that interest on pre-deposit. Now, another provision, memorandum of cross objection. It was similar provisions was not there at a commissioner appeal level, but it will be there at a tribunal level. What is the cross objection? Suppose order has been passed, total demand was 1 crore, 5 lakh rupees has been confirmed and 95 lakh rupees has been dropped by adjudicating authority. So I thought, I don't want to litigate it because 5 lakh rupees is a small amount for me. So let me pay it and conclude the matter. So I had a 3 months to file an appeal. So that time has been gone. But department has more time with him. So department after 5 months will go to an appeal. If I would know that anyhow I have to fight this matter, I would not have paid that 5 lakh rupees. I agreed to that 5 lakh rupees only because of the fact that I don't want to litigate. But due to the departmental appeal, I am put into the condition of a litigation. So, not challenging that order at the first instance is now loss, is causing a loss to me. So the law says that, okay, wait. If department is going into an appeal, in that case, your right to appeal against that order also gets revived. That is called a cross objection. Means, suppose department has filed an appeal after 6 months and their appeal has been admitted. In that case, tribunal will send me one letter. Look, Punit, department has filed an appeal against this order. Although you agreed, you agreed with that order and did not file an appeal against that order, but as another party has come to the court, I am giving you one chance to file an appeal. If you think that you should also challenge this 5 lakh rupees. So that is called a memorandum of cross objection. That has to be filed within the 45 days under section 112 subsection 5. So in that case, although I did not challenge that 5 lakh rupees earlier, I can file a memorandum of cross objection and can challenge the demand of 5 lakh rupees also, even if I have agreed once and I already have paid once. Chartered accountant, company secretary, ICWA, advocate, relative, or an employee or a tax practitioner may represent before the tribunal. So it is not necessary that you are a chartered accountant only, but even if you get a registration as a tax practitioner under the GST, you can represent a client before the tribunal. Even if you are a relative, you need not to be an advocate or a CA. You can directly go to an tribunal and represent your relative. Please understand that Commissioner Appeal has only 1 month for condonation of a delay, and beyond the 1 month, he cannot condone the delay. But tribunal being the court, there cannot be such a limitation on a tribunal. Tribunal can condone the delay even if it is of 10 years, if there is a reasonable cause. So in tribunal, even if 1 or 2 year or 3 year has been gone from the date of an order, you can go to the tribunal and can ask for the condonation of delay and acceptance of an appeal. Please understand that tribunal is a court and it is quite different from the Commissioner Appeal, which is a quasi-judicial authority, but tribunal is a court itself. So every court has a different procedures and rules and regulations. So it's not like that only appeals can be filed before the tribunal. If you find that there is some mistake or an error in an order, you can file an appeal or an application to the tribunal seeking that, look sir, in this particular order, by mistake, you have written the name of an ex-assessee instead of Y-assessee. But for such an application, you must pay a fees and you also have to file a proper application before the tribunal. That particular application is called rectification of mistake, and that application will be considered as if it is an appeal itself, and a hearing will also be granted and another party will also be heard. So you can file a rectification of mistake. Similarly, if your appeal has been delayed, you can file the condonation of delay, and that is also a separate appeal itself. Separate personal hearing for COD will be there, and separate fees is to be paid for COD also. So in normal case, only appeal fees. In case of appeal with the delay, you will be filing practically 2 appeals: one main appeal with a merit, another with a condonation of a delay appeal, or sorry, condonation of delay application with separate fees. Another one is the mentions. What is the mention? In case of an urgency, you can go before any court directly, and you can interrupt the judge and say that, look sir, some policemen came and they have taken this particular fellow without authority of the law, and I want some relief from you today itself. Although my matter is not listed or I have not filed an appeal till date, you please interfere. So in that case, judge will allow you to file an appeal and hear this matter today itself, even if you did not file an earlier appeals or file any application earlier. Memorandum of cross objection I have already discussed. Similarly, miscellaneous applications can also be filed. Now, as I have discussed, in GST, tribunal related provisions, as I discussed, the third member, first we already understood. Technical member, one will be from state, another will be from center. So out of 3 judges, 2 are already from the department. Third one can be a retired judge of an high court, or can be a district judge qualified to be appointed as a judge of an high court. He can be a member, judicial member of a tribunal. In addition to that, there is another provision which says that a member of an Indian legal services means another officer of the government can also be appointed as a judicial member. We already, out of 3, 2 are already a government officer, and the law says that a third officer can also be from the government. Okay. Law goes further and says that if there is a vacancy or if there is no judicial member, the rest of the 2 technical member can hear the matter and decide. Further, although tribunal is a court itself, Section 113 subsection 2 put a restrictions that a tribunal cannot adjourn the matter more than 3 times. So can a tribunal or a court can be functioned or can be restricted by the law? Tribunal or a court are being formed so that law can be administered, or rather it can be read or can be guided. It can be guided to the officers and for the interpretation. So can the law restricts the interpretation or the judge or a court itself? The answer is no. Due to these reasons, Madras High Court, in case of a Revenue Bar Association, has already held that such a provisions of a tribunal in the GST law is clearly unconstitutional, and no such a tribunal can be formed under the GST law. This is the reason particularly why even after the 5 years of the GST, today we do not have a tribunal at all. And let me tell you, even in future, no such a tribunal will be there in this particular form which is prescribed, which is proposed in this particular law. Similarly, government has already tried earlier in a different law to form a similar tribunal under the law, which is rather than a tribunal or a court, which is another level of officers for handling the appeals. And earlier 3 or 4 cases in a different such a cases, Supreme Court has already held that such a tribunal cannot be formed. It is clearly in violation of the Constitution of India, and such a tribunal cannot be formed. Not only that, when the government last tried similarly, and when matter went to the Supreme Court, as that was held unconstitutional by some High Court, and matter went to the Supreme Court. So Supreme Court, after passing an order at a last paragraph, clearly held that if similar move or similar matter will be challenged by the department again, and if matter will come to the Supreme Court, we will take it seriously, because we already have held that at 3 different times no such a tribunal can be formed. So even Supreme Court is also clearly expressed his opinion on such a provision, and I don't think such an appeal or application or in case of a department will survive in Supreme Court. So today there is no tribunal, and practically we do not see any in near future there will be tribunal or not. Now the question will arise here suppose the Commissioner Appeal has already passed his order and there is no tribunal at all, and law says that within 3 months you have to file an appeal before the tribunal, and today there is no tribunal. So department, CGST department has already issued a removal of difficulties order 2019, which says that 3 months will start from the date when the president enters the office. So suppose for Vizag area bench, starts on say 2000 April 2023. So your all the appeals which is pending since 2017, all the appeals shall be filed within 3 months from the date of an April 2023. There is another circular issued by the CBEC which says that Commissioner Appeal or an adjudicating authority should not withhold their decision merely because of the fact that there is no tribunal and taxpayer will be suffered if such a order is passed and he don't have any remedies. So officer cannot kept pending your appeal merely based on the fact that no tribunal is formed yet. Now appeal to high courts. If your order has been passed by the state bench or an area bench, in that case, matter will be you can file an appeal, tax appeal before the high court. As I already have discussed, you can definitely go to a high court at any time if the basic principles are violated or any particular law is clearly violated by any officer. So in that case, you can directly go to a high court. But if an order has been passed by the national bench or regional bench, meaning thereby if issue involves a issue of place of supply, in that case, order of a national bench or a regional bench can be appealed against only at a Supreme Court. Definitely, if order has been passed by a high court, you can file a tax appeal before the Supreme Court also. Please understand that unlike the tribunal and commissioner appeal, there is no default stay against the recovery when appeal has been filed to a high court or Supreme Court. So in high court, if you are or Supreme Court, if you are filing an appeal, you will also need to file a stay application along with both these applications, along with your appeal before the high court or Supreme Court. Definitely under section 120, government can describe a monetary limit within which department will not prefer an appeal. Definitely such a limit is not applicable to appellant, but only to the department. So suppose a matter is only of a 1 lakh rupees, monetary limit will be fixed by the CGST department or state GST department, and department will not be able to file an appeal before the tribunal, high court or in the Supreme Court if such an amount is less than a monetary limit described under section 120. As I already discussed, all the appeals, all the orders are appealable orders under the GST. However, section 121 says that these 4 orders, no appeal should be preferred. What are that? If your case has been transferred from one officer to another, in that case, you cannot file an appeal against such an order. So suppose so cause notice was issued by joint commissioner, and now commissioner has transferred this case from joint commissioner to additional commissioner for whatever the reason. You cannot file an appeal against the order of the commissioner challenging the transfer of your case from one officer to another. If order has been passed for seizure or retention of a books of accounts, register and other documents, in that case also you cannot file an appeal against the order under which such a documents, books or register are seized. Please understand that these exceptions do not cover the seizure of an assets or a bank account. So if any order has been passed for a seizure of a bank account or any asset, definitely that will not be limited by the section 121, because this clearly talks about accounts, register and documents, and not the assets or bank accounts. An order sanctioning the prosecution. If order has been sanctioned for prosecution, in that case, appeal is not maintainable under this act. Similarly, an order passed under section 80 for payment in installment. Under section 80, an assessee can go to the commissioner and can say that, look sir, I understand that I have to pay 1 crore. I accept that, but due to the financial difficulty, I am not able to pay. So kindly you grant me the installment of 24 months. Commissioner is empowered to grant the payment of installment. He can also reject your application and pass an order. So you cannot go to an appeal against such a order rejecting your application for payment in installment. Except these all 4 orders, definitely appeal is maintainable in GST. I think now I have already completed GST provisions, and my time is already about to complete. So let me open this session for question and answer, and then if the time will permit, I will discuss on art of drafting, or otherwise we will conclude the session.
Members, please respond, sir.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
you have stated that an income tax is also now it is faceless. Commissioner appeals is also faceless nowadays. So
Yes.
there is statement of facts we have to file. Then along with grounds of appeal before the Commissioner of Income Tax. We faceless assessment center. I think same is the case with GST nowadays. There is not much difference between the two, because the commissioner doesn't have power of enhancement, and he has no power of commissioner has power of enhancement in income tax, and he has no power to remand the case. That is the same case both with GST and as well as income tax.
Yes.
I thought something will be given, some more information may be given regarding to written submissions, as far as once an appeal is filed before the commissioner appeals, because tribunal is not yet functioning. So can we have written submissions as also?
Written submission.
What is the difference between the two?
Written submission before?
The commissioner appeals.
Look, sir.
What is the difference between an appeal file and the written submissions?
There is no, practically, there is no concept of written submission in GST appeal or indirect tax appeals. As the law clearly says that at the time of a filing appeal itself, you have to mention all the facts. You have to take all the grounds you want to take. You have to attach each and every document you want to rely upon. You have to give each and every evidence you want to rely upon. So practically, there will be no written submission after the appeal has been filed. At a time of PH, only your appeal will be open, which will be running in 100 pages, because all the things you have to attach at a time of an appeal itself. So in GST, there will be no much written representation at a time of an personal hearing. Like an income tax, everything is depending on written submission at a time of a hearing itself.
No, some case laws may come up, or some advanced rulings may come up, the notifications may come up in between.
Only one
which you have to present.
Yes. Only one personal hearing will be granted to you. And during the personal hearing, you can give such a written representation also. But not at every 10 days or 15 days, you can make a new representation and submit with them. No. Only at a time of personal hearing. Single hearing, 10 minutes. That's all.
Sir, I have a question.
Please, sir.
that in respect of certified copy, we have to file along with appeal 1 within 7 days. Certified copy by whom?
हाँ
By-
sir, that is
Appellant is sufficient, or we have to obtain from the department?
fortunately law is silent on that.
So what is to be done?
So self-certified is also certified.
Self-certificate is okay? So,
So if you suppose you file the self-certified and if they don't agree,
Hmm.
then also something you have filed within 7 days, so you should not worry about it.
Sir, and another question.
Ah,
Regarding your 129(3) penalty, you have said that 25% is sufficient for the filing of the appeal. Generally, what happens when there is a e-way bill checking out, unless you deposit the amount, they are not releasing the goods.
good question.
So under that circumstances, what is to be done?
So where is the where is the question of paying a 25% penalty again? Correct.
Yes.
So suppose your goods are being stopped by officer. Correct. You have an option that you pay 200% penalty and get your goods released.
Yes.
So in that case, entire amount has been paid,
So,
and then you can go to an appeal, and then there is no need to pay a pre-deposit again,
yes.
because whatever the disputed you already have paid, so that you can get your goods released. Another probability, your vehicle has been stopped. They said you pay 200%, otherwise I will not leave the goods. But you don't agree, and you let them pass an order. So they will seize the goods, and then they will pass an order and seize the goods, including the vehicle itself. They have to pass an order, na?
Yes.
So you don't want to get your goods released. You understand that it is nothing but a marble and nothing will happen to it, and you are less worried about that, because and that their demand is also unreasonable. So you can directly go to an high court, or you can file an appeal also. So in that case, if you have not paid the
Manoj ko de do, he will talk to you.
you have not paid the 200% penalty, and you want to litigate the matter and don't want to get your goods released by the from the department, and you are filing an appeal, in that case 25% of a 200% is required to be paid.
And with that, he can release the goods, or for that,
No. If you want to get your goods released, 200% penalty. If you don't want to get your goods released, 25% of a 200%.
If that is sufficient, there is no separate order required for release of the goods. When
Goods will not be released at all unless the
when we file the appeal.
If you will file an appeal, goods will not be released unless a favorable order has been passed by the commissioner appeal.
So till the disposal of appeal, the goods will be seized.
Correct.
Appeal hearing, when it will come, till that will be a problem. So that looks like a redundant.
Now it is an option given to you. Suppose you want to get the goods released and fight. Pay 200%. You want to fight and then you want to get the goods released. Pay 25%.
Wait till the disposal of the appeal.
Wait till the disposal of. Correct.
Sir, another question I have.
Yes.
Memorandum of changes. So the appellant has not gone for appeal. The department has gone for the appeal.
Correct.
Here, any pre-deposit is required?
No. That is very good question, sir. Thank you very much. Everybody will be benefited. Now suppose an order has been passed. 1 crore demand. 20 lakh rupees confirmed. 80 lakh rupees dropped. 80 lakh rupees confirmed. 20 lakh rupees dropped. And suppose you want to go into an appeal. 20% of that means 8 lakh rupees will be required if you want to go into appeal. But if department go into an appeal and file an appeal, in that case, memorandum of cross objection will be available to you. And for memorandum of cross objection, there is no requirement for a pre-deposit at all. So if department goes to an appeal, it is a very good tactic. If department goes into an appeal before you, in that case, you can fight your case without payment of a pre-deposit. But in that case, chances of a recovery initiation can be there. Besides that, yes, you can go into an appeal without pre-deposit. A good,
Okay.
very good proposition, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Members, please unmute yourself and ask the question, sir. Sir, may I ask, I am having one doubt, sir.
Oh, please, sir.
Because this order is passed by the Joint Commissioner. So we have to file the appeal before the Commissioner. Is it not, sir?
Commissioner appeal.
Okay, sir. This Joint Commissioner, because 3 months time is there, in the 3 months he has got the promotion and he has posted as a Commissioner there. In such cases, how to proceed, sir?
In that case, also appeal will be filed before the Commissioner appeal. I said these people are quasi-judicial authority and not the court. If it would have a court, they can say that not before me. But now they are sitting as a Commissioner appeal. Earlier he was. So generally, Central GST avoid the Commissioner appeal at a location where that particular officer has worked as an jurisdictional officer, and so they don't give the posting of a Commissioner appeal at the same place when he was not a Commissioner appeal or was a junior. So generally, CGST in 15 years of practice, I don't have seen any officer Commissioner appeal who has earlier worked as an additional commissioner or assistant JC or a commissioner at the same field or same jurisdictional area. CGST generally avoids. I do not know much about the state. I think I have already confused you enough for today.
No, sir, you have clarified all the doubts. So, members, if you are having any doubts or you want any clarifications, you may ask Punit ji. He is available. He is having expert knowledge in these appeals and regions. So, utilize his knowledge for betterment of our cases. So, I think your deliberations are excellent, sir. Punit ji. So, you have clarified done and there itself all the doubts. So, that's why members are not asking questions. We are thankful to you for giving this your valuable time to Visakhapatnam branch, sir, within a short time that you have considered our request. So, we are very kind of you, sir. So now I request our Secretary of the branch to propose vote of thanks, sir.
A very good evening to all the members, the management committee, and the learned speaker of today's evening session. It is my pleasant duty to propose the vote of thanks to the speaker of today's session, CA Punit Prajapati. On behalf of the managing committee and on behalf of the members of the branch, I would like to thank the learned speaker of today's session for having shared his experience and for having clarified the doubts amongst the members, because this topic involves a lot of procedural aspects, and any flaw in the process would jeopardize the outcome of the case. So therefore, this becomes a very important aspect of the GST practice. And I'm sure, sir, that after hearing you, our members will be certainly benefited in representing their cases. We would like to thank you very much for having given such a lucid presentation and having spent your time and shared your views with us. Thank you very much, sir, and good night, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.